You know, we have spent plenty of time talking about Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves signing or potentially signing a new contract with the Lakers. Luka obviously already taking that contract, recently signing a 3-year, $165 million extension with their team, including a player option during the 2027-28 NBA season, where he will likely decline that and then sign a 5-year, $420 million contract after that point. And then for Austin Reeves, we've gotten reports that he's likely eyeing a $30 million per year kind of contract. A new report said that he's kind of comparing his value to the current contract of Tyler Hero, which is a 4-year, $120 million contract, accounting for roughly $30 million per season, and that's apparently what Austin's looking at, or maybe his agent is looking at, and that's come with plenty of controversy. Many fans saying that he wouldn't be worth it, that they should trade him rather than pay him, and so on and so forth about it. But apart from Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, how about Rui Hachimura? After all, he's another guy that is contract extension eligible with their team. Recently, during the past week, he could be signed to a new contract if the Lakers want to and if they want to give him a new long-term contract, but according to reports, they really don't. According to Jovan Buha, Rui Hachimura is unlikely to get a new contract from the Lakers in the next 6 weeks, which is the timeline leading up to their training camp. Him saying that, while it's certainly possible that something happens with it, I would say most of what's been out there is them wanting to keep the books clean and wanting to see whether he starts or becomes their sixth man and how the pieces fit on their team this year. And well, that would tend to make sense with what previous reports have said about their team, their mentality in trying to preserve their future cap space, whether it's in 2026, 27, or 28. We've heard about all three of them, and it kind of points to them wanting to preserve their cap space, looking toward their future when LeBron eventually retires, leaves their team, or simply comes off their payroll, looking for that point and who they'll try to replace him on their payroll, who they'll sign to their next max contract to pair with Luka Doncic, not only with Austin Reeves, but then actually signing another max player to pair with them. Who are they looking to do with that, and them trying to keep their payroll clean until they do that, which ultimately means that they likely won't sign Rui Hachimura to a new contract, unless he would take a discounted price that I really don't see him doing at this current moment. After all, he will be an unrestricted free agent next season, therefore being able to test the open market, getting offer sheets or simply contract offers from other teams. That way he can compare it to what the Lakers might offer him, and the Lakers can either choose to let him do that, giving him a better contract or some kind of incentive to bring him back to their team, or potentially letting him walk if they're not willing to pay the price that he might get. So with that in mind here, what will be or what is the likely price to keep Hachimura? What would be a fair contract extension to give him and that he would likely take? What's his current value at compared to the league-wide perspective? Comparing it to other peers in the NBA, guys that are currently at his current value, at least in my opinion. We're going to talk about that and try to find out a good price to keep Hachimura at, what his role will be or should be for the team next season, and simply about his outlook with the purple and gold going forward. So beginning with the contract value and how I'd compare it to the league-wide perspective here. Going into next season, Rui Hachimura is the 92nd highest paid player in the NBA, making roughly $18.2 million next season, comparable to guys like former Laker Malik Monk, former Laker Alex Caruso, former Laker Ivica Zubac, and then other non-former Lakers like Andrew Nembhard, Harrison Barnes, and Colin Sexton. A few of which have a much higher value than Hachimura in my opinion, mainly pointing to both Caruso and Zubac here. Those guys kind of took a discount extension price. You know, their current teams really got lucky in my opinion. The OKC Thunder giving that prior to him winning a championship with their team, giving him a contract that's roughly $20 million per season, and that's kind of a steal in my opinion for a guy like Caruso. Same with the LA Clippers, signing Ivica Zubac to roughly $19 million per year over the next 3 years now. And with him coming off his best season to date, that's definitely a pretty good price for him. Or even for a guy like Andrew Nembhard, also higher value than Hachimura in my opinion, him coming off yet another great season, only being 23 years old yet if I remember correctly, and him getting paid only $18.1 million next season, lower than Hachimura, only $19.5 in the 2026-27 NBA season. And if you point to that, I'm not sure you can say that Hachimura should get more money than that, more money than either Caruso, Zubac, or even a Malik Monk for that fact, so I put him right below those guys. And well, unfortunately for Hachimura, that does mean his per season value is going down, not up. The Lakers kind of gave him his last contract with the hope that he would be improving and that he would grow into a better player than he was at the time. And I'm not going to say that he hasn't. I think he's shown improvement in regard to three-point shooting ability, off-ball ability, maybe some minor defensive improvement, but definitely not the kind of improvement they're hoping for and the leap that they're hoping he would take. Again, not completely mad at it, and I think he's gotten at least a little bit better, but he's not quite grown to the contract that they gave him. So in my opinion, a fair price for him per year would probably be around $15 to $17.5 million per year. Again, slightly under guys like Caruso, Zubac, Nembhard. He simply is on their level in my opinion, and therefore shouldn't be paid quite what they are, even though their teams got them at a discounted rate. I think that Hachimura should be below them and that the Lakers could afford to offer him and not offend him by offering him a contract less than what they get. Again, something like $15, $17 million per year, giving him a long-term contract, which I think he does deserve, but not at a price that's more than his peers like, again, those three that I mentioned. I can't point to him and say that Hachimura has been better and more valuable than those guys, so I couldn't give him a contract that's worth more than what they get, especially a guy like Nembhard who is significantly younger than him too. So in my opinion, that's kind of step one with it, what the Lakers will have to approach him with and the offer they kind of give him and try to work out with him. Something that definitely could be a 3-year or 4-year contract, but it can't be above $18 million per year. Simply put, again, he didn't live up to that. He's not worth what guys are getting around him, so at most I'd probably give him $17 million per year, simply to not get as much as, again, the guys I mentioned, so that would be the starting point for me. Then of course we have to factor in what he does next season, if he can replicate what he did last season, which was arguably his best season to date, playing roughly 32 minutes per game, a career high for him, averaging 13.1 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists per game, shooting a very efficient 51% from the field and 41.3% from 3, not to mention a team high 41.3%, leading their team in 3-point percentage for the second year in a row now. Very impressive. The only, knock on him or really thing to pick at is that he's not a high volume 3-point shooter, only taking 4.2 in 32 minutes per game. Not exactly low volume shooting, but definitely not high volume shooting either. All around though, a pretty good season for Hachimura. The nitpicky things again would be high volume shooting, defense, and probably rebounding too. Not terrible on defense, but definitely not a good defender, and unfortunately not able to fill the role that he kind of has to fill in their starting lineup, which may eventually lead to him coming off the bench and becoming their 6th man off the bench. I've definitely been an advocate of it. He's simply not a fit for the current role that's demanded of him in their starting lineup. Offensively, he can definitely do it, and he's been showing that he's definitely capable of doing it. Again, with the 3-point shooting, with the 13 points per game as their 5th option in that lineup, that's very good and very impressive. But defensively and rebounding wise, he's not really what they need in there. More so pointing to a guy like Jared Vanderbilt or Marcus Smart. I think they would be a better fit for it, and Hachimura would take on a lesser defensive role coming off the bench, and would then be able to take better advantage of his skill set offensively too. I think we often forget, but he's actually a pretty talented on-ball player. Whenever he gets the opportunity, he shows it, and although it's pretty rare at this point, he definitely does have a pretty good offensive bag, not simply at the 3-point line and being a catch-and-shoot guy for their team, but getting in the post and shooting some fadeaways or using his physical nature to get directly to the rim. He does tend to get a little bit of tunnel vision, but regardless has a very good touch around the rim, a great fadeaway shot from the mid-range, a great mid-range shot in general, and he could probably show more of it if he came off the bench and became their 6th man, rather than their 4th or 5th option in their starting lineup. So in my opinion, unlike many other starting players that eventually get moved to coming off the bench, I don't think it would be a bad thing for Rui Hachimura. Whether you're talking about it from a fit standpoint, I think it would actually be a good thing for him and probably would help the fit of their entire team and entire rotation, especially for Hachimura. Or if you're talking about it from a financial standpoint, I don't think it would negatively affect him here either. If he can simply maintain and maybe even improve what he did throughout the past 2 years now, mainly talking about his offensive production and offensive efficiency, I think he would probably get the same contract and same contract value no matter what. Again, in my opinion, probably and hopefully no more than $17 million per year, but whether you're talking about a 3-year contract, a 4-year contract, I don't think there would be a big difference if Hachimura is in their starting lineup or coming off the bench. I think he probably would and probably could get the same contract no matter what. Whether you're talking about contract duration or overall contract value, I really don't think it would affect him that much, at least not with their current team. In my opinion, it can actually help him by coming off the bench more. But those are only my thoughts. In regard to Hachimura, I don't entirely blame the Lakers for not signing him yet. It's not a desperate thing for their team to sign him to a contract extension. I don't think he's currently on the trade block, so that's not an issue with it. He's not a number one priority for their team going forward. He's definitely in the top priorities, but definitely not that number one spot. Again, that's kind of preserving cap space and figuring out their future apart from Luka Doncic. With guys like Austin Reeves or that next star player to pair with Luka Doncic, that's what they gotta prioritize first. Then Hachimura comes after all that. Again, kind of towards their top priority, but definitely not their number one or number two priority going forward. So with all of that being said here, what do you guys think? How do you feel about signing Rui Hachimura to a new contract? What kind of price would you value him at, and based on what? Either in regard to current production, current fit on their team, and how important or maybe not important he is to their team, or in regard to league-wide comparison and comparing him to other contracts around the league. How would you come to that conclusion with Hachimura, and what contract would you look to offer him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.